People are out of work and they're hurting. And they're all wondering what they're going to do to make a comeback. And we're all scared because this isn't a game. The people of Detroit know a little something about this. They almost lost everything. But we all pulled together. Now Motor City is fighting again.
100 million Americans saw that Chrysler ad during this year's Super Bowl. New York Times columnist Thomas Friedman is using it as a jumping-off point for a new edition of his latest book.
He and co-author Michael Mandelbaum focus on 4 major challenges facing the U.S. in That Used to Be Us, how America fell behind in the world and how we can come back. Tom Friedman is here in Studio 57. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Read this book when it came out. It's hard not to have a strong reaction to it. You start with that ad, which was a controversial ad at the time. Why start the book with that?
Well, you know, Clint Eastwood was really telling an important story about how we have fallen behind in the world. Think about what that ad focused on, Jeff. He was talking about the auto industry and what happened. Now, basically, back in the 80s, you know, people said Japan is the big threat. But when you think about it, Japan really threatened 2 American industries, consumer electronics and autos, and challenged 1 American town, Detroit, which that ad focused on. Where we are today, 30 years later, which is the merger of globalization and the information technology revolution, that merger challenges every American town and every American industry. That is what is new.
So the challenges come from where then?
Well, the challenges come from the fact that, you know, when I sat down to write this book with Michael, I actually went back to the first edition of the book I wrote in 2004, 2005 called The World is Flat, which was about the world getting connected.
Yeah.
You know, and I opened that book up into the index. Facebook wasn't in it. You were just talking about Facebook. So when I was saying the world is flat, I mean, Facebook wasn't around, Twitter wasn't around, the cloud wasn't around, LinkedIn wasn't around. So what's happened basically is we've actually gone from a connected world to a hyper-connected world. And what that means is if the world were a single classroom, the whole global curve just rose. Why did it rise? Because every boss now, including yours and mine, has access to cheaper software, automation, robotics, cheap labor, and cheap genius than ever before. And hence, I think, you know, Michael and I would agree the most important chapter in this book, and is so much about education, is called Average is Over.
Yes.
Okay, average is over now, all right? If you know that old saying in Texas, if all you ever do is all you've ever done, all you ever get is all you ever got, that is no longer applicable, okay? If all you ever do is all you've ever done, all you'll ever get now is not all you ever got. We all have to find our extra.
But you also say it's not that the lack of jobs is holding us back. That's not really what it is. It is, in your opinion.
Well, you know, Gail, there's so many other things. It's infrastructure, it's immigration, it's the right rules to incent risk-taking and prevent recklessness. All of these, everyone kind of wants a one-stop solution to all our problems. We got here because we did a lot of things right. We had a formula for success, which was educate our people to use the best technology in the world, have the best infrastructure, have the most immigration of talented, energetic people, have the right rules, have the most government-funded research. If you go down that list today, you'll see we're falling behind in all 5 categories.
Do you think people realize, Tom, how crucial education is? You know, when people start talking about education, a lot of times their eyes glaze over, but it is so important that we get this right.
Well, it's so important because today, Gail, even with the merger of globalization and the IT revolution, there is no decent job that doesn't require more education. You know, I was at San Francisco Airport last week, and at the premier counter. I'm a 100,000-mile flyer, so I'm at the premier counter. And this is the premier counter now. I had to check myself in using the machine there. I noticed there were just 2 United employees behind this long counter, okay? Everyone else was checking themselves in, and even the guy moving the bags was a contractor. He didn't work for United. So in other words, all those, you know, those jobs that were at that skill level, they're gone now. You have, 2 people there, and someone maybe is running those machines out there. That's a good job. Higher level skill, though, it's going to take.
Tom, I want to ask you quickly about Syria before you leave here, because the president mentioned chemical or biological weapons as a tripwire. Are there other tripwires, in your estimation, that would get the U.S. involved?
You know, I think that's the big one, Jeff, because Syria has somewhere between 30 and 40 sites where they were storing chemical weapons. And you see that country collapsing. You see order in that country collapsing. the people who are asking most of all about that are the Israelis. They're saying, who's got the chemical weapons? Who's in charge? Al-Qaeda or one of their affiliates goes in there. What happens? We're right next door.
Does Israel strike Iran?
I think it's now a 50-50 proposition. I think we're really getting close, when reading the Israeli press, to a big decision there.
All right. Thomas Friedman, thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks, you guys.
May I mention your book?
You play?
It's a fantastic read. Check it out if you get a chance.
The expanded paperback edition of That Used to Be Us is on sale now.